Yamishibai is a series of animated ghost stories directed by Tomoya Takashima and Hiromu Kumamoto. It has a very odd animation style that pays tribute to Kamishibai, or paper dramas. Back in the 12th century, monks would use imakimono, or picture scrolls, to convey stories with moral lessons to their mostly illiterate audiences. But Kamishibai had a revival as early as 1920, in which a Gaito Kamishibaya, or paper drama storyteller, rode from village to village on a bicycle, equipped with a small wooden stage from which he would give his shows, and he would make noise with two wooden clappers known as hyoshigi to announce his arrival and gather interested audience members. He would tell stories using a set of illustrated boards inserted into the stage. The stories were often serialized, and new episodes were told on each visit to the village to give him reason to return and continue to make a profit. Going with the format of Kamishibai, Yamishibai, or Theater of Darkness, features episodes that last around 4 minutes in length and generally end with some kind of moral lesson, albeit with a much more grim conclusion. There's not much I can say without giving away too much of the plot twists, since these are incredibly brief episodes. But if you'd like to be completely spoiler-free and you're a fan of being terrified, then stop this video and check it out on Crunchyroll. Since the show is about ghost stories, the setting is mostly older Japanese houses and temples, giving it that ancient atmosphere, but occasionally, more contemporary environments are seen, like hospitals, high schools, and malls. At the start of each episode, a very eerie man rolls into town, banging on his hyoshigi to attract all the children before saying, "Yotterashai, mitterashai, Yamishibai no jikan da yo." Within about 30 seconds, the viewer is aware of the plot, and the story rapidly reaches its crescendo. The main topics covered are curses, hauntings, and demons, and the episode always ends on a cliffhanger. However, while sometimes the fate of the character may be questionable, it's almost always implied that they die. The moral of each story ranges from don't overwork yourself or it'll be the end of you, or spend more time with your family while you can, or most commonly, heed the warnings of your elders, lest you befall a terrible fate. Not to mention there's a constant flickering film grain present to subconsciously ensure the viewer feels on edge and in danger at all times. The animation of the show was meant to look like a stop-motion slideshow of sorts with movement and voiceover, but the eeriest aspect is how each character looks like a paper character that moves around almost like they're on strings. Characters are rarely entirely still, but they move in the slightest quivering fashion even when they aren't doing anything. When characters do move, their motion ranges from slight quivering to full-blown violent flailing depending on the severity of the situation. And transitioning into different poses is handled by having the images cross-dissolve into one another. There are 2 or 3 episodes where 3D animation is utilized, and dear God, it makes the scene that much more jarring. Seeing a human figure moving up against a 2-dimensional background is just disturbing on a level I never could have predicted. The tension is perfectly spaced out, and the jump scares never feel cheap or easy. Everything happens in a perfect flow that has you reacting out of genuine fear and paranoia, and the way it builds suspense is so perfect. Unfortunately, the second season is a big disappointment by comparison, as there was maybe one episode that actually made me feel a real sense of dread. The first season had 5 amazing episodes, and the rest were still very ominous and ended in a way that qualify as possible nightmare fuel. But the second season offered nothing beyond chin-scratching or philosophical premises and conclusions in my honest opinion. It's almost like they got all their genuinely terrifying stuff out in the first season and came up short for season 2. For example, let me elaborate on episode 6, titled Nao-chan, which follows a happy little family with the dad playing sock puppets with his son, Takun. At night, Takun constantly calls out the name while looking at the ceiling, which makes the mother scared as she asks, "Nao tte shiriai iru?" The dad dismisses it as nothing, but when Takun points at the ceiling and says, "Nao-chan iru yo, hora," the dad thinks he's pretending and continues to play sock puppets, to which Takun says, "Nao-chan tabecha dame yo." Cut to the evening, and everyone but Takun is asleep. Out of nowhere, a terrifying face materializes and gazes at him with an eerie smile while getting incredibly close. It shifts its focus to Takun's mother and gets closer and closer before the camera dips to black. Cut to the morning after, and Takun's mom asks about her husband's college friend. The narrator alludes to the fact that this person is responsible for their marriage and died shortly after they last spoke. Several months later, Takun becomes a big brother as his mother gives birth to a little boy, and as she's calming him down, she refers to him as Nao-chan.
おしまい.
There are a handful more episodes like this where the build-up is amazing and you wonder what's going to happen, and then the ending's like... But for the record, my number one most terrifying episode is Season 1, Episode 13, Tormentor. It still haunts me to this day. But aside from that, there's nothing exemplary to be found in Yamishibai. It's a thrilling little trip that will have you checking every dark corner of your house when you finish watching, and I hope they make a third season that goes back to the truly terrifying roots from which it began. Thanks for watching my first episode of Otaku Time. I have no idea what to do for my next episode, so let me know if you have any suggestions for cool underrated anime or must-see popular ones, and I'll be sure to take a look.